commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends if you do what I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant doesn't know what his Lord is doing. But I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father have I made known unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you, that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain.
Hello, good day. Welcome to Line by Line Bible Studies. We're continuing our study in Exodus. It's going to be a short study today because shorter than normal, less than an hour, because I have to shuffle off. It's going to be quite less than an hour. So we'll only attempt one chapter. In fact, we're going to attempt one chapter. If we get to the end of it before the time's up, I'm going to conclude and we'll just pick up tomorrow. I got a tight schedule today. Okay, let's read. Exodus 28. And take thou unto thee Aaron, thy brother, and his sons with him, from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garment for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitre, and a girdle, and they shall be made holy garments for Aaron thy brother, and his sons, that he may minister unto me the priest's office. And they shall take gold, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen, with cunning work. It shall have the two shoulder pieces thereof joined at the two edges thereof, and so it shall be joined together. And the curious girdle of the ephod, which is upon it, shall be of the same, according to the work thereof, even of gold, and of blue, and of purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and grave on them the names of the children of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names on the rest of the other stone, according to their birth, with the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet. Shalt thou engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in ouches of gold. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear the names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make ouches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends. Of wreathen work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of the ephod shalt thou make it. Thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. Hold on, I need a sip of water here. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set in it settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. The second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And a 4th row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names. like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of the wreathen work of pure gold. And thou... Every time I open my mouth, my stomach speaks. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains thou shalt fasten in 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, and thou shalt put them upon the 2 ends of the breastplate in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. The 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and shalt put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart thereof, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they shall bind the breastplates by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod, with a lace of blue, that it may be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate be not loosed from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth unto the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. And thou shalt put the breastplate of judgment, and thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart, when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod all of blue, and there shall be an hole in the top of it. In the midst thereof it shall have a binding of woven work round about the hole of it, as it were the hole of a habergeon, that it be not rent. Sounds like, keep it from ripping. And beneath upon the hem of it, there's the hem, well, maybe not. Thou shalt make pomegranates of blue, and of purple and scarlet, round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about. A golden bell and a pomegranate, upon the hem of the robe round about. It shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, and when he cometh out, that he die not. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, and grave upon it, like the engravings of a signet, holiness to the Lord. And thou shalt put it in a blue lace, that it may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre it shall be. And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead. One second. Okay. Well, it must be the mitre. That Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, and that they may be accepted before the Lord. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. And Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles, and bonnets thou shalt make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother and his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. From the loins even to the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron, upon his sons, when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity, and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. All right. It's a long chapter, a lot, but it's about the priestly garments. I was going to mention, concerning the tabernacle, which we've been talking about, there's a couple books, if you're really interested in the subject. I have The Holy Vessels and Furniture of the Tabernacle. I've bought this book about 30 years ago. I still haven't read it. And, of course, James Strong's, of Strong's Concordance, The Tabernacle of Israel. Very Problem for me is it's very, reading about it is, well, this one I didn't, like I said, there's a nice picture of how the boards were all socketed and stuck together. Here's an interesting, I mentioned, from a hieroglyph of a Egyptian type ark, and you can see, let's see, can you see the cherubims there on I got it, right there on that thing. There's cherubims. The symbolism, like I said, a lot of these things, God speaks to us in our tongue. Why am I all weird looking here? I just noticed that the camera was fine. He speaks to us in a language we can understand. Because every time the camera decides to take it up itself, it decides I'm an orange person for some reason. Yeah, it always jacks up that white. There we go. That looks a little more normal. I don't know why. And then it decides, we're going to focus for you, which I don't want it to do because it just gets out of focus. And then we're going to adjust your gamma, which I don't really want. All right. Things have a mind of their own. It's so frustrating. Okay, so those are some books you could look at if you're interested in the tabernacle and learning more, because it's not the kind of knowledge I convey. Same thing with this. There are people who get really into studying the priestly garments. And for me, when I'm talking about things that have passed away, what comes to mind is, you see how specific and perfect everything had to be. And it's like, but there are garments we have to put on. There's of course, the righteousness of saints, the wedding garment. They are all given white garments, and white symbolizing the purity and the cleanliness that Christ's blood brings to us. Clean and white, as it's described. But let's go on. So make holy garments for Aaron your brother, for glory and for beauty. Make it beautiful and also glorious, meaning it speaks to how great our God is, I suppose. It demonstrates somehow in the visible. I understand the attraction to these things. This is why in the Catholic Church the priests have these big ornamental clothes and they have their big fish hats and whatever. I got the fish hat thing because my pastor from years ago, he was saying that those are the Dagon hats, like Dagon, the fish god of the Assyrians. Which looks, if you look at it, it looks like a fish going upward, I guess. I don't know the provenance of that fact, if it's a fact at all. But Aaron and his sons were to be the high priests and their descendants. And now interesting, he goes, thou shalt speak to all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Just like there's a coming up where he's going to talk to the guy who's going to build all the stuff and the furniture and the tabernacle and such, that he's filled with this wisdom to know how to do these things. And I don't think it's like it says, it's wisdom. I don't think this is necessarily some sort of, it could be divinely revealed. But like I said, I think it's that they are people who are filled with wisdom because they have practiced these things in life. Meaning they were people who, while they were in Egypt, were working in garments and know how to make garments. Moses don't know how to make garments. He can't make the priestly garments. God would have to teach him. It's not, and it's like a guitar or something. It's like you have to practice these skills to be able to do them well. So, and the same thing with like needlework and stuff like that. It's like some of these, you have to have very delicate fingers and know where exactly to put it, and not necessarily delicate fingers, but very practiced fingers. And so he's saying, speak to those that are wise-hearted. And I do think he means in that sense that they're wise concerning these things. They know how and when they have the spirit of wisdom that God is filled, but they also they know how to make garments. He has filled them with the spirit of wisdom. A breastplate, and that was, I have an artist representation of a breastplate. This is from E. Raymond Capps, The Gemstones in the Breastplate, which I did read years ago. It's a very short book. I don't think you can get this anywhere except the Shepherd's Chapel, to tell you the truth. Let me see. I saw this. Here's his representation. You can see along the hem of the garment, you can see Come on, Paul. Straighten out. I get confused because things are a mirror. It's not a mirror image. If it was a mirror image, it'd be much easier to understand this. But it flips it on me. So my right appears. That guy has the same right hand that I. Well, he has his right hand. This is my right hand. But usually in a mirror, your right hand looks like your left hand. Anyways, so you can see down at the bottom there, right there, where my finger's tapping, the little bells and pomegranates along the garment, along the fringe of it or whatever, the hem. And they've, kind of scribbled all over it to make it look like it was supposed to look. But, there is, I believe, what it is he has a robe. And then, like I said, the ephod is that thing that has the girdle. And it also has the breastplate strapped to it. And it has these shoulder straps that go over the back. It is over the robe, and it's the thing from which the breastplate is suspended. And then there's a broidered coat. I assume that also goes underneath. Looks like they got him he's wearing a robe and a coat and an ephod, and he's got his mitre. I think the mitre has to be the hat, right? Let's look at that real quick. I mean, what is the word? I guess Exodus. I guess if I look at that, then they're going to be like, well, it's a mitre. No, a turban of the high priest. Okay, they call it a turban, whatever. We call you could call it a turban, sure. I'm not sure that it was a turban in the sense that I think of a turban, but however it was something to go on top of his head. The exact nature of that, I saw another Hebrew Roots channel, and people get into this stuff. Like I said, it is, for some people, it's like this temptation. I mean, I got nothing against Dr. Strong for going into the Tebet, someone, hey, it's like, there's all kinds of subjects to explore. I mean, I do things that aren't biblically related. I work on projects like my garden in my house. It's not like you have to, but this is like, and this is a side subject. I doubt it's like the kind of thing that you're going to get too sidetracked on. But, like I said, as long as we're just studying it for interest and understanding the symbolism and stuff, I see no harm in that. But like I said, when we start making priestly garments and putting them on and trying to make it work like it did in the old times, it's all passed away. It's all passed away because of Christ. So he had holy garments to wear as a priest. Take the gold, blue, purple, fine linen, make the ephod of gold, purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. Again, it's not specified. It's go to those people who I have imbued with the spirit of wisdom to make these beautiful garments. For beauty and glory, as it said. It should be for both purposes. Not just beautiful, but also glorious. Is there a difference? I suppose. You can have beauty without glory. Though it does elicit a feeling of gloriousness. Like when you look at the beauty of nature, it's often, you get a sense of, wow, this is amazing. There's a glory of the creation. There's a glory of it. You can see the glory of God in very small things even. When you look at the intricate nature of living things, of the things that he has made, it's amazing. Especially when you consider like how as we have gotten smaller and smaller, not we get smaller, but we see things that are smaller and smaller through microscopy. I almost said it right. I heard it in my head. Microscopy. I think that's right. Microscopy. Microscope use. We see how complicated and intricate the micro world is and the nano world. I mean, more complicated than they ever thought, 100, 200 years ago. Okay. So the two shoulder pieces joined at the two edges thereof, so that shall be joined together. Again, I assume in the back, like suspenders get joined together there to give you nice support, but in front, it's going to connect to the breastplate, and then there we go. And the curious girdle, why does it say the curious girdle? What is a curious girdle? Are you curious? I don't, like I said, there are parts of the Bible that are more exciting than others. Reading a genealogy, reading the design, some people would say, oh, it's irreverent. It's like, no, it's not irreverent. It's just telling the truth. It's like, this is something that was supposed to exist and you would see. It's like talking about stained glass versus going and looking at it. I know some people hate stained glass, whatever. I find when I go into a church that has a lot of holy images and stuff like, in stained glass, I find it very moving. I was like, oh, it makes you think of the birth of Christ. I mean, like I said, it can be misused, I suppose. And that's mostly in like getting people like, whoa, this is holy. And then the message coming from the altar is lies and obscene blasphemy. that's what you got to watch out for, is allowing priestly garments. And like Jesus said about John the Baptist, what'd you go out there for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Those that dwell in, those that wear soft raiment dwell in kings' houses. Not that isn't, like I said, there's a place for it. And that's what this is specifying. The place for it is the high priest. He wears the fanciest duds because he's legitimately going into the presence of God, and he's going to make sacrifice, and he's going to bear the iniquity of the people upon him. And so it's got to be very specifically done. Let me see. Ephod, a robe, broidered coat, a mitre. Yeah, it says the turban of the high priest. All right. Ephod of gold. Shoulder pieces thereof. There we are. What was the verse? Verse 8. Come on, Paul. Just get the verse number. Curious girdle. Okay, curious girdle is one word of the ephod. Ephuda. Ephod, I believe, a lot of the ephod is, well, here's the, I'm sorry, I thought I had it up there. Here we go. It means, this is the word for a curious girdle. It's one word. So the New American Standard calls it the skillfully woven band. Okay, because that's what, it's just one, we don't have a word that consummates all those things, right? I don't know if curious is the right thing. Well, in our modern English, curious doesn't have the same connotation. Curious in the King James time would go along with, like, skillfully, the kind of thing that makes you want to look at it. Like curious. Now, if you look at the archaic, I'm not going to bring that, but I'm sure there's archaic uses of the word curious that mean more like skillfully done. It's more like the skillfully made girdle. So it means like ingenious work is the definition. Or they sometimes translate in the New American Standard Bible, they go artistic band or skillfully woven band or woven band. And then this is the ephod. But I'm guessing that at the bottom they're going to say what? Feminine of ephod, a girding on of the ephod. Hence, generally, a plating of metal. Ephod or ornament. Interesting. But again, in the picture you can see is that as it's described here, we understand what it is. It's kind of easier to understand it by the context of the passage. And I don't mind. I'm sorry. I'm sure for a lot of people these studies get boring here, and that's okay. If you don't feel like you need to listen to it, that's fine. I mean, just go along. Next time, we'll catch you next time when we get to the more interesting. I mean, for some people, this is very interesting. And it is interesting, but it's not, I need information. So but I don't want to skip anything. I want to go over it. Maybe not so detailed like, each verse, but there were 2 onyx stones like at the top, right? Where he wrote the names of the children of Israel, 6 on one, 6 on the other. And then it was on that breastplate. Or it was on the ephod, on the shoulder pieces that come down to the breastplate. And then there were the hooks for that. All right, what are these out? Most interesting thing about this, I'm like, what's an ouches? I thought ouches were what happened when you pricked your finger, or something like that. Let's see, ouches. Verse 11. Names of the children of Israel. Okay, ouches of gold. That's a long verse. All right, an ouch. Ouches is mishpetza, or something like that. A checkered or plated work. Usually settings for gems. Okay, that makes more. That's why I thought the ouches were. They were like pouches. Like I thought it was like a pouch is like a different kind of an ouch. That's so interesting. A brocade. Well, I know I've heard of brocades. By analogy, a reticulating setting of a gem. Reticulated. Just a place to put the gems. So that, again, on the top of the shoulders with those, let's move along. And thou shalt put the 2 stones in the shoulders of the ephod, and shall bear their names before the Lord upon his two shoulders for a memorial. The memorial, to bring before God, remember the tribes of Israel, Israel whom you have chosen. I said, but the thing came, when Christ came, he made it very clear, while he was not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he sent his disciples out to make disciples of all men, Greeks and Romans and Chinese and everybody. And so has been done. That among virtually all the peoples, I remember when in the 90s, we had a missionary visit our youth group, and they were talking about unreached people groups, and because they take it very seriously. I God bless them. It's like, because I don't have the ability to go do that, but they reached my people a long time ago. So, I'm here in the center of Christian America, or what was Christian America. It's still Christian America if we're talking about the people. We're still the majority, by far, Christians. But the government is becoming more and more anti-Christian, like explicitly so. And going after, and it won't be long. Just like you look at what's going on in Canada, you can expect it to come along down here eventually, where they burn churches and persecute Christians. Well, they persecute certain Christians for, like, if you're anti-abortion and you want to protest anywhere near a abortion clinic, even within, I guess you get, I know there are a lot of restrictions and stuff, and hey, there's something for civil disobedience. I mean, I certainly, it's strange, we don't all, up and do something about it. A lot of people are somewhat complicit in it. I don't have a lot of sympathy for fornicators and then killing the offspring thereof. That's kind of brutally wicked. It's one thing when it's medically necessary. Meaning the mother's life is in danger. They have to make that choice between, mother's life and the child's life. It's that's why there's some space for that, of course. But in some countries they make it so they like in Iceland they have almost no kids with Down syndrome because they abort them all, and that's pretty selfish, I would say, and awful. Anyways, settings of stone, a memorial for your people, right? 2 chains of pure gold at the ends of wreathen work shalt thou make them, and fasten the chains to the ouches, to the settings, right? We have the settings, and we have the chains, and then we have the breastplate. The breastplate of judgment is what it's called here, because literally that's what the Urim and Thummim were to do. Is if you needed to go to God for judgment, if it's something that the judges couldn't answer, you can't go to the high priest for every problem. The Urim and Thummim, this is for big deal problems, things where we don't already know the answer. And so I say it's like, sometimes you can lament and think, God, I wish the Lord would just speak to me, right? I feel that from time to time. I wish the Lord would speak to me. But he's already spoken to us all in his word. And it's like, while the answers are there, it's like, are we really going to make it necessary for him to, do us a special favor to, so that we can feel confident again? He orders us to have faith, to believe and not doubt. And I know that can be quite difficult, personally, because, like, for me, I know it's very difficult because the sea and the waves begin roaring. And you know a lot about the way the world works, right? We know that gravity pulls things down and water is deep and wet and you can't breathe in the water and you can't swim in a storm. Not unless you're quite a swimmer, and even then, good luck, right? There's situations you can get in that are dangerous. And having faith through those dangerous moments is very difficult. Like Peter, when he was being interrogated, you were with them. Surely your speech betrays you. You're a Galilean. He's like, I don't know who they are, who he is. I don't know the man. He began to curse and swear. Because he's afraid of men. Afraid of nature. He was ashamed later. God forgave him. But if we deny the Lord, we may not be forgiven. I pray never to be in the position to deny him so openly. It says they with their lips they praise him, or with their lips they honor him, whatever in that context. But in works they deny him. That's why I say it's like if I truly had the faith that I think I need, why would I ever sin? Foursquare it shall be being doubled. I was thinking, like, what is that? Because I was like, being doubled. I thought, I want to go with the NIV on that one. Let's see, verse 16. In the NIV it says, it is to be square, a span long and a span wide, and folded double. I think that meant so that it would be like, so because there's supposed to be like a pouch. As soon as it said being double, I imagined 2 squares, whatever. I don't know about folded, whatever. And then you mount the gemstones in it. Like I said, people have written whole books getting into the gemstones. And Raymond Kappa, I don't consider him a reliable author. He did one called Tracing Our Ancestors. And people have tried, I remember someone long ago wrote a long letter to me that I didn't respond to because I was out of that. I was burnt out on writing to Shepherd's Chapel people. And like, I didn't debunk anything in his book about how the tribes migrated. The problem is when there's no evidence for something, what is there to say? When the evidence is, you can't find it in any other, like if I make a book of fairy tales and I say, prove it isn't true, you know what I mean? You understand? Proving lies untrue, unless it's something that's right here and now that we can show evidence for or against. It's like prove. I'll say, well, no one agrees with no migratory evidence exists of the things you're talking about, and there are peoples who were already there, and it's like, nope. For some people, there's no amount of evidence or lack thereof that matters. They have their theories and they want to go about them. Getting the gemstones in the breastplate. Like I said, in Book of Revelation, it talks about the 12 tribes. How in the foundations of the future eternal city, we have gemstones, right? And the first foundation was jasper, the second sardis, the third whatever. The symbolism of that is, for me, okay, just like the writing of the names of the tribes. It's like, well, it's a green stone symbolizing verdant life and whatever. I'm not going to get into that. As far as, like I said, the provenance of such things, is all speculation from my point of view. And it's like, and it relies on what? We need doctrine that's useful. We need doctrine. I don't want to get my eyes filled with stars and gemstones and gold and silver and rings and ooches and all this. It just doesn't add much to me. And is the essence of what has passed away in the law. I mean, like I said, if you're going to keep the law, then go ahead. Give to work on your golden breastplate and your gemstones and all that. And find a descendant of Aaron to be your priest. Because there is not, you don't, when I see people like talking about making sacrifices and stuff, and it's like, whatever you're doing is merely a mockery of what God set in motion in the time of Moses. You cannot replicate it. Whatever you try is going to be unacceptable. Like some heathen Gentile. That's why the Jews did not accept the Samaritans. Jesus did, but not on the terms of the Jewish, of the Jewish way, but on his own terms. On the terms of, you don't have to worship God in Jerusalem. You can worship him in the spirit, which means anywhere. You don't need a sacred place. Every place is sacred when you're in the spirit. Every place is holy ground. So what do? Well, for me, it's not so much about my shoes. It's about where my shoes have been. It's about where my body has been, what my eyes have been doing, what my hands have been doing, what I've been putting in my body. All those things are more important than the outward carnal stuff of my shoes, my clothes, my hair, my deeds. What am I doing? What am I thinking? That's what's most important. How the heart of man proceed every evil work. Nothing you put in your body is going to, as far as like is going to defile you ceremonially. You can put things in your body that are going to hurt you. You're going to put things in your body that will lead you to sin. But it's not the fact of like, oh, I ate a wrong animal that truly defiles someone. Jesus said, that's what Jesus said. Nothing going into a man can defile him. It's all what you do with it. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel on the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, each stone representing one of the tribes. When he goeth into the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. The stones, part of what I would say is like the gemstones, it's for glory, but also to a reminder of those tribes and that they are precious unto the Lord. They are to be also to be like gemstones. You know what I mean? I want to be like if I think about gemstones, it's like I want to be a gemstone in the sight of God. You know what I mean? Like he looks down on the earth and he's like, oh, I see a lot of crap down there. Ooh, there's something shiny over there. There's something shiny and clean and bright. Something that gives a clear light, something beautiful, glorious. Let me set that in my crown. You know what I mean? Not that I of myself can be such a thing. I can't. I'm just a filthy animal before the Lord. But by the blood of Christ, we become perfect like he is perfect. First through the imputation, but also through sanctification and the resurrection, ultimately finishing that process. Because will we ever be fully sanctified in the world? Well, we will get to the state of where we are as sanctified as we possibly could be. As far as meaning other than the sanctifying blood of Christ, I mean that we have amended our ways in such a way that we go so far. And then we need a new body. So it's like, can the work be finished? Yeah, I think we can finish the work that God has given us to do. Whatever he expects of us, we will do. But can we go beyond what is given us to do? No. And I don't know, but where is that boundary? I don't know. I consider it just logical to just keep reaching for the highest possible mark you can, which is Christ. To be perfect as he is perfect, as the Heavenly Father is perfect, as Christ called us to do. So in the breastplate, the Urim and Thummim go in, which from what I understand was used to determine and to cast lots. Those are, he would draw out or throw them inside. I doubt he would throw them. He would put them in there and then draw one out, and that would be the answer, I suppose. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. The breastplate is over his heart. Not to be protecting him, but to be over, but as more of that it should lay upon his heart. The judgment of the people. What does God say about the people? What are the people doing? What is going on with the people? Is the Lord pleased? The high priest must bear this continually. The judgment of the people. Mercy, faith. Those are the weightier matters of the law that they needed to take heed to. But they always, like I said, people get busy straining out gnats. All so they can swallow the camel of wickedness. Oh, we tithe of the mint and the anise and the cumin. We do we don't play music in this church. Oh no, we're too holy for that. Doing all these we keep our Sabbath on Saturday. The correct day. Unlike you Sunday sun worshiping devils. Me, I honor every day alike. I don't have a Sunday or Saturday Sabbath. I don't. I go to church on Saturday or Sunday or Wednesday, if you please, or any old day if I was going to church. In that sense of like a church building. I'm in church all the time, as far as I'm concerned. And try to behave like that. Try to behave all the time like you're in church, because you technically are. Okay? That is the truly enlightened position. The idea that you got to be a certain place and a certain time and a certain day is going back to Jerusalem. You got the Jews say in Jerusalem is the place to worship. The Baptists say that in their church is the place where you find God. Not that you can't find God there or just about anywhere. So there's a hole in the top of it. In the midst of it shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as if it were a hole in a habergeon, that it be not rent. Okay, what is a habergeon? Haberjon. I got to look that one up. What verse are we? I'm not gonna. That's verse 32. And it says, I gotta kick off here. A woven edge. They say like a collar, so that will not tear. That's what they say. The Haberjon. Let's go to. I want to know what the King James specifically that word. Where do they translate that from? Verse 32. And we're gonna wrap it up in about a minute here. A habergeon. I hate when they define words with words I don't really know very well. I think I know what a corselet is. Like, I've heard of a corset, but a corselet? Thanks for that definition. You're really helping me. Really help me out here, folks. From Chara, original sense of chur, a linen corselet. He says corselet without the extra E, as white or hollow. Well, what's a habergeon? That one I'd have to look it up. A sleeveless coat or mail of scale armor. Okay. I thought that was the ephod, quite frankly. So I don't know what to make of that, and I'm not too concerned that I don't understand it. I will happily depart from this passage not having understood everything about the garments, okay? Because we want to understand the most important things. Our garments, our status. I don't have a priest to stand up before me as a memorial to the Lord. I only have the Lord Jesus forever and ever. And the Holy Spirit, of course, to bring all things to my remembrance. Because I'm the one who's got to really remember. God always remembers. I think the breastplate memorial is for the priest to constantly remember. And also, it doesn't hurt to put the Lord in remembrance. Meaning, you recite those things as if you're reminding God, even though he has never forgotten a thing. But, when you ask, it shall be given. When you seek, you shall find. Though that is the essence of how you obtain things from God. So let me see. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, grave upon it the engravings of a signet, holiness unto the Lord. Engrave with that holiness unto the Lord. Put it on a blue lace that it may be upon the mitre. And I suppose that was the thing that goes on the hat. The bells round about the bottom of the garment, etc. And when he goeth into the holy place of the Lord, when he cometh out, there were bells, so that he die not. He had to make noise. Do not come silently before the Lord. And perhaps that may have to do with the way they perceived holiness as they had seen it practiced in Egypt and else places. Because the priests always had bells. Why? Well, you don't come before the gods without, And if this is in their mind, they would be standing there. Why is he going silently before the Lord? To clear up every misconception, if it is a misconception, God forbid I get it wrong, but I do sometimes, is not necessarily what the Lord does. He gives the law to the people to make them his people, not to, the idea is that they would be obedient to the Lord, and he's actually helping them by giving them things that they can understand. An ark that looks holy, like the holy things they saw in Egypt, like the sacred things that they didn't have access to, perhaps. And so the priest is decked out in these garments that speak to them of glory and beauty. It has to speak to us because it is to evoke in them faith in the Lord and belief and continuance in his commandments and his laws, his statutes. Okay, and so it should be upon his forehead that he may bear the iniquity of the holy things. I'm gonna look at this. Is the last thing I really felt I had to get to, I think. If there's any, I mean, I'll do because I have to go. I will look and see if there are any words I skipped that were worth mentioning, and then after we read 30, I will take from those notes and read.
It's the bombshell story. You probably
thanks. Hit the wrong button and I got a link popping up. Okay. All right. NIV, verse 38. I just want to see if they translate this anywhere differently. Weave the tunic of fine linen and make the turban of fine linen. The sash is to be the work of an embroiderer. Oh, that's 39, my eyes. It will be on Aaron's forehead, and he will bear the guilt involved in the sacred gifts the Israelites consecrate, whatever gifts they may be. Interesting. Fasten a blue cord, attach it. So in wearing the holy garments, he bore the guilt that's sort of involved in in the holy thing. I guess because they're guilty. You know what I mean? And it's I guess an acknowledgement of that when he comes before the Lord, it's because they're guilty. And I guess the idea of bearing the guilt before the Lord is sort of it seems like a foreshadowing of Christ bearing our iniquity. He bore our iniquity and the idea is you bear it to take it away. To take it from them, to come before the Lord with their guilt and with these all dressed in these holy things and offer before him their offerings. That's how the guilt is born. And then the last thing is just he tells them, again, he repeats to consecrate, put these clothes on Aaron, right? Consecrate him. And then and mentions, of course, that they should have linen breeches underneath their robes to cover their nakedness, so that you don't see that's why, so that they're not exposing themselves even underneath. Like I said, when they walk up, when they come nearer to minister to the altar of the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. Meaning that they're consecrated in holy things. They're bearing the iniquity of the people before God, so that it may be taken away, forgiven, the mercy of the Lord may come forth. They themselves must not have iniquity on them personally. And that iniquity, again, it goes down to our very flesh. It's not just that you've done wrong, it's that you are wrong. Oh, God, are you saying God made us wrong? God made man, and he included in that making imperfect men, yes. Because, and like I said, the questions, people say, well, why does he make us this way? Because he loves us and wants to save us, because we are not perfect creatures. Perfect creatures don't need salvation. Perfect creatures. I see, to me, I think it's glorious. He made imperfect people. You mean I get to exist and I get a shot at forever? At not quite eternity, which I take as being, from everlasting to everlasting, but everlasting. To have a shot at everlasting. And a creature of iniquity such as myself. Yes, God made, I'll fault him for it. Will you? You'll fault him for making you, for stooping to make low creatures such as us. I think that argument is one of the dumbest things I've heard in my life. I used to actually sort of be like, oh, I guess what's that? Don't be flummoxed by it. Say, yeah, God made imperfect creatures. It's not that it's nothing against him. It's just that, in fact, it's everything but that. It is glorious. It's wonderful. He made us. Will the things look to him that made it and say, why have you made me thus? I guess they do, but it's really dumb. Like I said, he could answer back, well, should I have made somebody besides you? You think you come in a different version? That would be your twin. That's not even consciously you. And that twin isn't even better than you. You want me to make a twin of you who's perfect? That ain't you, buddy. That ain't you. That's somebody else. You know what I mean? You think of yourself as perfect? You think you could do that? You can't even. Then do it. Show me. Well, I can't. I'm flawed. Well, why didn't God just make me without the flaws? Because that's your nature. Because he's saving the flawed version. Perfect versions don't need saving. Anyways. Where are we? I'm just looking for my thing. Okay, there it is. All right, anyways, thanks for joining me. Look forward to being back again tomorrow. Until then, remember the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And while we're in the law, I'm going to say, and the fulfillment of the law.
This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends if you do what I command you. Henceforth I call ye not servants, for the servant doesn't know what his Lord is doing. But I have called you friends.